Hey, hey, can we talk about where you've been for the last month? Shut up. So every year in March, Cover Corporation, the parent company of Hololive Entertainment, runs a fan expo in Tokyo. They rent out a massive convention center, they bring in tons and tons and tons of people, and there is always a massive concert associated with the event. This year's concert event is called Capture the Moment. It's going to be split up into 4 individual events. 3 of those are going to be the primary Hololive concert. These are going to feature all of the individual members of Hololive, minus the most recent groups to have debuted, and they will be performing individual songs as well as a number of group pieces with lots of singing and dancing, and it's going to be really, really exciting. The last one, the 4th event, is going to be the Hololive X Honeyworks collab event. Since we're getting really close to the concert this year, I've been thinking about previous concerts of previous years, and I've got myself wondering and thinking about what some of the members are going to do this year. See, a lot of them have put out a lot of really good music, and some of them have done more than others, so I'm kind of left wondering, do I think I could guess what some of the members are going to do this year? And well, that's kind of what this video is going to be about. I'm going to take a look at all of the Hololive members who are going to be performing on the first stage, the number 1 stage, and we're going to see if I can guess what it is that they're likely going to do this year. I will also make another video for stage 2 and stage 3. There will not be necessarily a video for the Hololive X Honeyworks project stage because I just don't think there's any guessing that needs to be done there. Mostly I will be focusing on the individual performances here. I don't really think I have a good enough grasp on the group numbers or the various group dynamics to have a say one way or the other about that. But I will say that there are some stages that are going to have some minor notes and some interesting things to pay attention to that even I can recognize. Those will be at the end of the respective videos for those stages. So there's going to be 3 videos for the 3 different events. So I'm going to be going in the order that the Hololive website lists the performers for each stage. And I'm pretty sure that that's actually their debut order. So this probably will not be the order in which the actual talents appear on the actual event day. Though for some of them, I will actually have notes where I try to predict actually where they will actually show up, or like when during a given event they will actually show up. So keep that in mind as we go through this, okay? All right. First off, number 1, we have Aki Rose. Aki Rose, 2 years ago at Third Fest, did Shadis, and last year she did Rose of the Lamp. Really good dance numbers, both of them, and both of them are original songs of hers that had been debuted up to that point. So, what has she done throughout this year? Well, she has actually put out a full-blown musical very recently as part of her, I believe, her birthday live, which is really, really exciting, but I don't think any of that's going to make it to Fifth Fest here. I don't think that's what we're going to see. So taking a look at her beyond that, I see that she hasn't actually put out any new singles, any new originals at all over the course of this year, aside from that musical, which means that either she's going to have to dip deeper into the well with her older song Heroine audition, which would be really cool. It's a song that I actually wanted her to perform last year, although I have since fallen deeply, deeply in love with Rose of the Lamp, so I'm really happy she did that. But I think that there's a very high likelihood here that Aki is actually going to do a cover song instead of an original. Hololive members do occasionally do cover songs at these large concerts. It's not the most common thing. The vast majority of them are going to do their own originals. But since Aki does not have an original, we should expect her to do some kind of cover. As for what kind of cover, I don't consider myself as deeply versed in Japanese music as I would have to be in order to make a guess like that. But so if I do come to the conclusion that one of these members is going to do a cover, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to try and guess what cover it's going to be. So the next one after that is Matsuri. So 2 years ago, Matsuri did High 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 Tension, and then last year she did Zettai Ose Carnival. So those are both originals of hers. So she has not yet done a cover at a festival. She released a song called Virtual Love late last year, which I think would make a really good song for Fess. And there really hasn't been any other original releases this year. So I think there's a really high chance that that's what she comes out with. If not, she might do a cover. I think it's less likely than Aki, but Matsuri is another one who you might consider in the running to do one of the covers for the evening. If she does a cover, expect it to be really high energy, very Genki, and expect it to come sort of early on or very, very late on. So either at the very, very beginning of the show or as something leading into like the final act of the evening. Then there's Choco. 2 years ago, she did her original called Choco Love. And then last year, she did another original called No Distance. So she also has not yet done a cover song at a festival. A song called Got Cheat just came out for her very, very recently. And a little over a year ago, so before the last Fess, another song called Sick Bay Mistake was released back then. Neither of those two songs have appeared at a Fess, and I think both of them are very, very likely. I think we should definitely expect one or the other of those. I would guess Got Cheat. So that's what I'm expecting for Choco. Then we have Korone, and I knew there were some of these that were going to be hard for me to guess or try and figure something out. But I did not expect that the first one was going to come up quite this early. Korone 2 years ago did a Vocaloid song called Airmano Tausenai, or I Can't Beat Airman. And last year she did a song called Hashire Makibao, in which she was a horse girl and trotted across the stage and did several big flips. I don't really know what to say. All of the songs that Korone has done at these events have come wildly out of left field. They've all been stuff I was not aware of at the time and only came to love because of her performance of it. Now, she does have some of her own original songs. She has not yet performed an original, or at least she has not performed an original as of the last couple of years. I will say, it might be apparent by now, but pretty much all of my information is coming from Third Fest and Fourth Fest over the course of the last couple of years. And so, you know, I'm not making any statements based on First Fest or Second Fest, because that was sort of before my time. So I can't say for sure what's happened at those events. So really, when I say when I say she's not yet performed one of her own original songs, I mean within the last couple of years. Okay. So, and specifically at a fest. So, but over the last couple of years, she has produced music that is her own original. She's actually got quite a number of pieces out now, which could be potentially viable. Over this last year, she released a song called Doggy God Street and another song called Wonky Monkey, both of which would be really good at a festival like this. However, I want you to just ignore that because it doesn't matter. Because she's just going to do something weird and insane. She's going to flip herself all over the stage, and you should expect that, and you shouldn't have any expectations of anything else, because she's just going to defy all of your expectations. I've come to the conclusion that no amount of research or no amount of prep or planning is going to help me figure out what the heck Korone is going to do. So don't even bother. So we move on to the list next, and we get Noelle. Noelle is has really come into her own over the course of the last couple of years. 2 years ago, she did an original called Homenobi. Last year, she did an original called Lyrical Monsters. So she has done primarily her own originals. That being said, she does have a new original over the course of this year. It's called Gyudon Carnival, and I think it would make for a great fest song. And I really think that would be something we should expect Noelle to do. She also put out some other original songs, one song called Hours and one song called Happy, either one of which could show up. I'm pinning it on Happy, I think, more than anything else, but Gyudon Carnival is the newest one, so there's a chance. That being said, Noelle did put out an album this year, And as a result, because she's got so much of her own music to sort of dip into now, I would expect that there's basically no chance that she's going to come out with a cover. So definitely expect one of her original songs. Then we have Marine. Marine. Marine has not yet done a cover, at least not over the last couple of years. 2 years ago, she did Marine Choucault, and then last year she did a slightly more safe for work cut of Treasure Box. That being said, if we are going to see a cover of the wildly popular Lolikami Requiem, if we're going to see a cover of that song, I would expect it to come from Marine. That being said, obviously she's going to do Bishoujo Muzai Pirates. Like, obviously that's the call. I just thought it would be funny to consider Marine doing that at a fest. It would be awesome. But no, 100% we're going to see Bishoujo Muzai Pirates out of her. Moving on to Kanata. Kanata 2 years ago did the song Tokusha Seizan Wanderer, which it's a great song. And last year she did her own Halu song, Betsu Sekai, her own she needs to get some help with that one. For those of you who don't know, Betsu Sekai was written because her own personal idol left the industry, and she was so saddened about it that she like freaked out and wrote a whole song about it. Anyway, over the course of the last year, she has put out a song called Knock It Out, which is just a big party song, and I see that's very likely to be what we see from her. However, it's not in line with the kinds of stuff that she's put out in the past during a fest, so I would actually consider it possible that Kanata might actually show up with some kind of crazy Vocaloid cover. She's one of the few members that can consistently do the disappearance of Hatsune Miku, and I just think that would be awesome. But Knock It Out is, I would say, most likely what we're going to see. Botan 2 years ago did Lioness's Pride, which was her first original song. And then last year she did a cover song of a song called Melody. It was a great song. It fit her voice in this incredible way, and it was a really cool performance. So she has done, over the last 2 years, one original and one cover. Now, she did put out an original this year. It's called Connect Addict. And it does very much fit in line with some of her previous fest entries, so I would definitely expect it to appear here. The possibility that she would do a cover is always there, but I think with her first original, Lioness's Pride, getting, the nod for Third Fest 2 years ago, I really think Connect Addict is going to see play here. That would be my guess. Koyori is the first one of these members so far who did not actually appear 2 years ago. Koyori's first event was last year at Fourth Fest, where she did Wow, which I believe was her first original. Koyori's put out a bunch of music since then, and over the course of her first couple of years of existence here. Her most recent single is called Unbalanced, but that does not really feel like a fest song to me. Koyori might disagree and she might choose to run it, but I think most likely that will not be her choice. The next most recent entry is called Greatest Question in the World. That was not a super popular song. It didn't seem to, pop off like some of her other originals, but that would actually be a very fun song. You could definitely see her putting that song out to try and get some more eyes on it. That being said, her most popular single, or her most popular original release, is called Girl Seeks QED. And she's actually been performing that one quite a bit, so far as I can tell, in things like karaoke's and in some other people's lives and stuff like that. So I think that Girl Seeks QED is probably the most likely, although it is an older song. I don't think there's any chance that she's going to put out a cover for Fest. I just don't think that's going to be something she's going to want to do. And then Chloe's part of the same, is part of Horux with Koyori. So as a member of Horux, she was not present at Third Fest. She had her fest debut last year at Fourth Fest, where she actually sang a cover called Marionette. So she has not yet performed an original at Fest. However, she really doesn't have much original music. She's got like a 1 minute and 20-second song, and then she's got her like 35-second song Jinsei Reset Button. So she might choose to troll us with Jinsei Reset Button. We saw Gura as Chloe performing that at the New Year's countdown this year. So we might see it again. I think obviously Chloe's going to have to go into some kind of cover. She'll do another cover. It'll be really awesome. She's got an incredible singing voice. I can't even begin to guess what she's going to do. However, I will also sort of say here, I have this in my notes that I think there might be like a sort of a dark horse chance for her to release a new song at Fest. We've seen this happen a couple of times, most specifically Marine Shukon, which I mentioned earlier. Marine Shuko, which I mentioned earlier, was a new song that got its first release, its first airing at Third Fest. So I think there's a possibility that we might see that out of Chloe. I don't know why I think that. I don't have any justification for that. I just, as I was putting these notes together, I wrote that down, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I honestly think that could happen. Otherwise, it's going to be some kind of cover. And that's it for the Hololive JP members. So we move on. The next ones on the list are going to be Indonesia members. So we're going to start with Risu. 2 years ago, she did her original Alice and You and blew everybody's mind. Absolutely just flipped a switch in everybody's brain, and everybody worldwide went, oh my God, we got to keep an eye on this Risu character. And then last year, she actually did a cover of Ikiru Yosuga, which was, again, it was a very different kind of performance than Alice and You. And I think she really didn't want to try and like follow up with the same kind of thing after having been so successful with Alice and You. So Risu really has the gate wide open to do with whatever she wants to do. The main original song she released this year was called 1:15 a.m. And that would be a very different kind of performance than either of her her two previous performances. And I think that would fit Risu very, very well to put on like an entire third kind of performance 3 years running. And it would be just this great, fun Showa era song that I think would make her stand out amongst the sort of raw idol crowd, and the rest of the other members doing these sort of pure idol songs that I think is mostly going to be what we see. So yeah, Risu, I'm putting a pin in 1:15 a.m. and I'm saying that that's the song we're going to see. I really think so. Then we have Eofi. Eofi is interesting. So Eofi 2 years ago had just, and I mean just at the time of Fest, she had just released a song called Q&A equals E, which is, it's like kawaii is the way it's supposed to be read out. I've never understood quite how that title works, but anyway. And then last year she did a cover song called Kono te de kanaderu arigato. I promise I have studied some amount of Japanese. It's just like I'm trying to read a lot right now. And this was a very interesting song because it allowed her to do some amount of sign language during her performance. And that was really cool. She got to show off this wonderful talent that she has. Not only is she a polyglot in spoken languages, but she can also perform some amount of sign language. It was super cute. That being said, that means that she does, have a history of doing covers, or at least that specific cover at Fest. And she has no additional originals out this year. Sad face. So she does have one very old original that came out before Kawaii. That is an Indonesian song. Seems unlikely for Fest, although it would be really cool. More likely, I think, from her, we definitely expect a cover. It'll be something sweet, soft, little sistery. She might go for something like bratty and silly as well. She absolutely has that energy about her, but I would expect that for Fest, we're going to see some very sweet, soft, lilting kind of music out of Eofi. Then we have Rene. Rene last year did Illusion Night. Rene was not present for Third Fest, and so last year was her first fest, and she did Illusion Night. My favorite song of hers by an absolute country mile, and a great song. She did a great performance with it. She's got a lot of original songs out over the last couple of years that could follow up Illusion Night. Her most recent release is called Sip Some Tea and would actually work. I think it would honestly work. But that being said, she released this cool trilogy of songs sort of 2 years ago, before Illusion Night, to be fair. So, generally they like to do their more recent music, but there is this trilogy of songs that she released sort of 2 years ago. Gate Open Start, Ano Aozora no Seda, and Love Me, Love Me. All three of those came out very quickly, one right after the other, and she could select from any one of them. I don't think we're going to see a cover out of Rene. It is possible, but it seems unlikely to me, considering that she does have a good number of originals to work on. That's it for Indonesia on stage 1. Then we have Kiara out of Hololive English. Myth famously made their 3D debuts at Third Fest 2 years ago with somewhat scuffed models, it must be said. Kiara 2 years ago performed her debut song, Hinotori, Firebird, which was a banger and showed off her incredible dancing ability, even though the pyrotechnics made it so that the bitrate was a little bit screwy and her model was a little scuffed. But she performed Hinotori and she did awesome with it. Then last year, she did Do You, which just got to showcase her incredible dancing, and she did really good. That being said, what are we looking at for Fifth Fest? Well, she had an album released this year. Her first album called Point of View came out. On it, there are a whole bunch of songs, any one of which could make their appearance here. Pineapple, The Great Wanderer, Sleep Talking. There's even more, but those three I think are the most likely. My personal pick is going to be Sleep Talking, although seeing her dance to Pineapple on a fest stage would absolutely make my KFP heart doki doki. So I would love to see it. But either way, it could be any one of those three, I think, but I'm going to peg it on Sleep Talking. Now, that being said, Kiara is a dancer first, so she will pick whichever one of her songs she feels like she can dance to best, and that's what she's going to pick. So it's not. It might be something from completely left field. It's going to depend on what she feels like she can put out the most awesome dance performance to. Almost done here with the first stage. We're moving on to Ina. Ina 2 years ago did Violet, which was her first original song, and to this point, as far as I'm aware, that is her only original song. So last year, she did a cover of a song called The Meaning of Love. And to the best of my knowledge, there is no Ina original after Violet. So she still does not have one, which means that she's certainly going to end up doing another cover. She's done a few cover songs, like official releases of cover songs over the last couple of years. Dancing in the VR World, she did that song from Spice and Wolf. My expectation here is that she's going to find some interesting Vocaloid cover, and she's going to do that. That's my expectation. I can't get any deeper than that. Then we have Gura. Gura is listed next. 2 years ago, for her 3D debut, she did Reflect, which is her first and most popular original song. Last year, she did an old Vocaloid song called Megu Megu Fire Endless Night, and everybody freaked out about it. It was so cool. It was this bombastic show of energy and force that nobody expected and everybody loved. And it fits in line with Gura's musical tastes, which are all sort of out of left field, very, very old Vocaloid and also very, very old Showa era classics. That is what I'm expecting from Gura this year. Now, she was on hiatus for much of last year. She did release an original. It's called Blue Horizon. But I don't see that showing up at Fest. It's possible, but I don't know. So I really think that she's a real contender for taking one of the cover songs for this evening. Which again, if she does, expect some bombastic not lilting, that's not the word I want. Some bombastic performance piece from early Vocaloid or from the Showa era. Moving into Hololive English Promise, we have Bay for Fifth Fest on the first stage here. Last year was Bay's first performance. All of Promise debuted last year. They had their big debut, their big 3D debut at Fourth Fest. And Bay performed Kami Poina, which is, of course, a cover. Despite the fact that she had a banger of an original, she actually had what I would consider a weird point of view on this, but it's very unique to her, which is that she wanted that original song. She wanted to perform that for the first time at her own event, at a live event that's hers, like a 3D live event that is just hers. She didn't want to put it out for Fest first. And so she chose Kami Poina. She chose to do a cover instead. And she did an incredible job singing and dancing to a very, very challenging Kami Poina. Now, over the course of this year, she has put out a full album. Actually, it was very, very recently she just put out the album, but she's been working on it for a very long time, which means that I think that there's a good chance that she's got those songs that they've been worked on and they were good enough and ready to go early enough that they could have made the cut for Fifth Fest. And I think that's what we're going to see. I would expect one of the songs off of her new album. Obviously, I'm going to go with the single, the top single release, the number one off the album, and the first single release from the album, Rograt Runaway. It's a bop. I think it would fit perfectly well here. But I would also back up one and say that Bay, despite putting out an album this year, also put out an EP, like within the last year. And her song Psycho, it was a single off of that. And there's actually a chance that she could choose to go all the way back and do that. That would be a very dark horse pick. But I want to put it out there that I'm looking at it and I'm saying she could make that choice. But really, I'm expecting Rograt Runaway. That's my expectation for Bay. And actually, Bay makes for the last member on stage one, listed on stage one. I don't have any real notes about where I expect this to go. My general understanding of live performance, just in general, not specifically Hololive or specifically Idols, but generally the way that I see it is that you start high, then you sort of let your then you start very, very high. You let it sort of do a big early peak of lots of energy to get everybody started and get everyone going. Then you sort of you bring in more towards the middle. You start letting the sort of ballads sink in. You let everybody drop into this sort of emotional state, and then you let the deep, deep ballads come out about 2/3 of the way through, and then you spike up at the end for this like incredible feel good moment to send everybody home. I don't know if they're going to rinse and repeat that 3 times running, but I would expect that at least 1 or 2 of the 3 stages are going to follow that narrative arc. So aside from that, I don't really have any specific placement on where I expect people to go. And as for group songs and specific notes for stage one, I really don't have too many. The only thing I have noted is that there are a lot of silver-haired members here. Noelle, Chloe, Botan. There's a lot of silver hair on display on stage one, and so maybe that's going to be one of the groups. I mean, we had we had Hollow Elves, we had Hollow Half Elves 2 years ago at Third Fest. So I don't know. There's no major groups that I'm aware of who are highly represented here on this first stage. So, and certainly no full generations like we had. Like we had Area 15, Hololive Indonesia first gen last year, all on one stage, and they did their group song together. So I don't have anything else really aside from just the fact that, there's a lot of silver-haired members on this stage, and that's it. That's all I got. So Thank you guys for watching through to the end of this video. I'm going to have this one up, and then over the course of the next couple of days, as we lead into the festival itself, I will be putting up stage 2 and stage 3. I apologize for my absence over the course of the last few weeks. It's been a rough one for me, not really personally, but certainly technologically. I've had a very rough time of it with replacing many components in my computer, as well as having serious internet issues, which have finally, fingers crossed, knock on wood, been resolved. At least that's the hope, right? All right, guys. Thank you for your time. Otsutanis, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.